So it is time for us to get back into the Madnette. It has been 6 or 8 weeks since we put out the last video on this, and there's a reason for that. I have not actually touched this car in that time period. We were going kind of hot and heavy on this thing the last couple of videos because I was trying to get it as far along as I could before I stopped to have a needed medical procedure. And after that, there were several weeks where I just simply physically could not get in the positions I needed to and exert myself the way I needed to do the next step of the project, which is rockers and body mounts. So right about now, you might be saying, that's only 3 weeks. It's been longer than that. What about the other 3 to 5 weeks? Well, I have another project in the shop that I've been actually working on my other channel that is a mostly restored car that was supposed to be just a final assembly project, which is underneath that car cover there. And we were trying to hit that hard and get it at least running and driving to get it to a car show that actually was this last weekend. Obviously, it didn't make it. This thing has been such a problem child that I don't even think calling it Dennis the Menace would be descriptive enough. Maybe Chucky? At any rate, that's been taking up some time, and now it's sitting here with the engine out of it because the rebuilt engine that was in it needs to be stripped back to the bare block, and I need to start all over again on it. So now that we're at that point on this, I'm back onto this. But also right along at that same time frame, spring has sprung here in Ohio. And if you'll notice, I have weeping willow on this side of the pond, as well as that side of the pond. And those things drop so many twigs and limbs and stuff, especially over the winter, that it is a lot of work getting it ready to start mowing the lawn, and the lawn absolutely will not wait. So I'm going to spend a few minutes off camera to get my shit together, dig out the mounts that we bought for this thing, and start figuring out how I'm going to do this, and we'll start cutting. So since the left side rocker is rotted to the point where we really can't even get good measurements from it anymore, we're going to start on this side. We're just going to start hacking away the majority of it, get it out of here, and then we'll carefully dissect it away from the main body structure. And when we go to rebuild it, we'll take all those measurements off of the right side since it's more intact. So now that we have this all cut out roughly, I need to start picking apart all the little spot welds there. And those can be a little difficult to find. Now this one here, not such a problem. We know there's one right here. But some of these other ones can be a little difficult. But you can take light and use light in various different directions to find them. Because you're going to look for basically a shadow. There's one right there. There's one right here. But with the rust here, it can make it a little bit more difficult. Go out in many different directions there. We find there's one here. Looks like there's one here. One here. And probably one right here. It's either there or it's right beside it here. I'll need to take a better look at it off camera. But now we'll go ahead and drill through all these and continuing along and keep picking everything apart until we can peel all this stuff out of there. Dead battery. Make sure you keep the bit cool. So here we are the next day, and yes, I did it again. I turned the camera off because after drilling the first few spot welds out here, I figured, you know, just watching me drill the next 20 or so out would get boring. And then when I did actually start trying to pick all this apart and separate the panels, I was inside this corner here. And I couldn't figure out how to get the tripod and the camera up in here to where you could actually see what I was doing. And I'm working by myself here for a couple days, so I don't have anybody who can get in there with the camera and work around me. I was trying to work around the doors, which then would also make it a bit more difficult to set the camera up, because I do not like to take the doors off when I'm doing rockers if I don't have to, because that preserves the alignment of the doors to the body, and then I can properly align the rockers to the doors. But this door was a little out of line anyway and needed a shim on the bottom to bring the back corner of it up and get everything aligned properly, but I couldn't get the screws out. So I was avoiding messing with the doors until I realized there's enough rot in both the B pillar and the A pillar, enough repair that needs to be done, that I wasn't going to be able to actually do it with the doors in place. So I ended up taking the doors off, and it was about then that I realized, yeah, I didn't ever turn the camera back on through the process. I really need to get better about that. So while I didn't get to show you the process of actually picking this apart and separating everything on the left side, we do still have the right side to do, so I can do that over there. And what I'll end up doing is taking the doors off that side first, which will give me no excuses. Should be able to get the camera in there at all angles and see everything we're doing, as long as I actually remember to turn it on. So back to actually getting the doors off. I said I was having trouble getting them off. MGs, for the longest time, have always used 1/4 inch fine thread Phillips or posi drive countersunk machine screws. and they are notoriously difficult to get out of the hinges. And I was in here just wailing on these things with my impact driver and was making absolutely no progress whatsoever. But then I remembered that a few months ago, I had bought a new tool that I forgot I bought specifically to tackle stuff like this. So that tool is a bit for my air hammer that is a socket adapter. So you can put a socket on here, and then you could get on a bolt and be hammering on it, vibrating the snot out of it, and then put a wrench on here and turn it. I had seen a short about one of these last year sometime, and I went and bought some just out of curiosity. Do these things actually work that well, or do they just break the heads of the bolts off? So I went and bought like some of the cheapest ones I could find. They were like, it was a 3/8 and a 1/2 inch drive one together for under 20 bucks on Amazon, and thought I would give it a try. And I am telling you what, I will probably never, ever get my impact driver out again, because this is almost like cheating. It made it so easy. Now, while I don't like cheating, this kind of cheating I can deal with. So this is how this thing works. Got the wrench on there, got a 5/16 socket, and then I got a bit here that just fits really nice and solidly in there. The biggest one. You don't want to do one too small. You want the biggest one that solidly fits in there. So we'll show you how easy this actually is to do. Of course, I'm kind of in the way here, but and look how easy that is. Best tool ever. Now, I'll go ahead and put a link in the description below of the set that I bought if you were interested in trying them out yourself.